Welcome back, guys. Today we're going to switch it up and get into a little bit of 3D and work with 3D and AI. So they both work well together. Other than sketches, other than drawings and things like that, you can also use 3D rendering. And then we're going to bring it into Runway and use their Runway reference tool. And so I'm going to show you how to do that and creating something like this. For this like skylight racing video I created. Welcome back to the Sketch Lab. So first step is you want to set up a basic scene in Blender, and it's just like a plain something like this. And if you don't have your own 3D model, you can actually get one free from Sketchfab. So I will actually leave a link in the description so that you can go ahead and get an asset, a 3D model of your choosing. So this is with the texture. And when you grab models from Sketchfab, you can get, they all have textures in it. In this particular model, it already has texture. And then I also was able to create my own version where I added, I took the original texture away from the car and then just added this black. So I want to add this nice sleek black. So then my camera is already set up where, whatever angle you want. So I'm going to go and have it side view here. So the camera is already set, and it's if you select the camera, I've also set up a basic HDRI scene. All right, so like I said, you can get a basic set up like a basic HDRI to get some kind of like realistic lighting in your scene. So this is like the quickest way to set up basic lighting in your 3D scene. So you just go on this website, polyhaven.com. I will leave a link in the description down below, so you can go ahead and check it out. These are free HDRI where you can actually, the light here wraps around the whole scene, and whatever light information that's in this picture and this HDRI image, it would project onto your 3D model or your 3D scene in Blender. But just to give you like a little quick cheat on how to set up your scene realistically with realistic lighting, this is like the kind of the quickest way to do it using HDRI. Okay, so you grab that HDRI, so you save it in your folder. So what you want to do is go into this. All right, so what you want to do when you want to select the world icon, it's like a little globe icon here. And you want to make sure surface is opened, and you go here and you select environment texture. So that's where you apply your HDRI image that you have picked, and you go ahead and there's like a folder icon, and you just go ahead and you find that HDRI image and you place it in here. And then so once you do that, you want to go into your nodes, and here that is where you go to your shader editor. Okay, so that's when you go ahead and you can open up a new window. So those of you familiar with Blender, you can create your own, open up another window in Blender, and then you go ahead and this is a very basic lighting setup. You got to make sure that world is selected, and then you go ahead, and this is kind of the very basic layout of how do you set up your HDRI. You get your texture coordinates, and then you go to your mapping, and then it gets you get your HDRI image, the background, and then your world output. So this is a very basic layout, and then you can change the positioning of your HDRI, so it'll change. So when you select your, I usually use cycles instead of EV. I like cycles. It's just it's a little heavier on the CPU, but the lighting is a little bit more realistic. And so see the HDRI, you can kind of see you know, the HDRI kind of like wrapped around the whole scene. So that's in the lighting information. So this is the HDRI that I picked. It's like a very basic like sky scene, and then you can actually rotate it. So you can do the rotation like the x-axis. You can rotate that here, you know. So rotate it to however you like. So once you select how you want the lighting to be positioned and your scene, this is it. And then you just go ahead and render your image. And then once your rendering is complete, then we're gonna take this rendering, this still image, and we're gonna actually go into Runway, and that's where all the magic happens.
What? Bro, what are you talking about, man?
All right, guys, so we are back in Runway. As you can see, this is something that I've already like generated several images for that video that I created. So it's a bit of like a behind the scenes of that video. And so what you want to do is upload the rendering of the car that we created in Blender, and then we bring it into Runway. And there is a you want to also provide a reference image. So here's a reference image that I found here, and I think it's just like the light. I love the lighting and the whole vibe of this image. And then what you want to type in is, it says render image 1, which is that rendering in the style of image 2, which is this. So it can be any image. It could be, you know, depending on your subject matter. Find an image that you like, lighting, mood, tone, all that, and then use that as a reference image. Once you do that, you generate that, and then this is what it comes out with. I mean, I think it's just amazing, right? So instead of spending all that time, and you can, I mean, you know, I know some people are more advanced in Blender and in 3D than others, and you know, there's always more than, you know, one way of doing something, right? So I like to use AI or Runway as almost like a rendering engine for me, and I set up this really basic rendering of the car and the scene, and depending on what subject matter that you're creating or using, and then I just use this reference image. Or, you know, you can take a picture of your own scene. You know, you go out, let's say I'll go out in the parking lot somewhere, or you know, go into the city or whatever location you want to go into, take your own picture, and then bring that in to Runway and use your own pictures. So you don't have to use someone else's pictures. That's the beauty of it, where you still have somewhat like control of how to, you know, creating scenes using AI. So 3D is like one of my favorite ways of controlling the composition of the scene and just give it my own art direction, you know. And so this is like one of the ways of doing that, and I love this process of using 3D with AI, and then you create beautiful scenes like this. So and I also you know, so here's one of the scenes that I created, and just a bit of kind of like a real quick, here's you know, the version where I actually changed the color of the car. I took away all the decals and just had like this matte black, it's not really matte black, but just, you know, black color on the car. and here is my reference image. And I just love the vibe of this image, and yeah, here you go. And it came out beautiful. I mean, it goes on and on. When you do some generations, you get some weird ones, you get some weird ones. That one got pretty jacked up there. And a lot of them came out really good. It was really hard to choose. It was really hard to curate what image I was going to use for the video, so so it really gives that realism, and it doesn't look 3D, the details stayed intact. The lighting, it's just great, so that's just kind of like a really basic, this is a basic breakdown on how to use 3D and AI together. And you don't have to necessarily use your drawings per se. You can, and you can actually create your own drawing and then bring it to a tool like Viscom, and you'll see in my other episodes where I use Viscom, and you can actually turn your sketch into a 3D, and then that's another process, but it's great because it's more customization. You can design your own car, you can design your own characters or whatever object, your architecture, building, interior design, that kind of thing, and you can bring it into Viscom, render that out, that scene realistically, or you can take that drawing, put it into Runway, make it look realistic, and then add some animation into it, and then you can make a really cool an image. This is great for previs, so and sometimes you don't need to use a reference image. So for this one in particular, it's like one of my favorite scenes in the video is I just said have image 1 driving fast on a racetrack, add motion blur. I said blue, but add motion blur, shot on a 35 millimeter Panavision camera. So I want to give it that cinematic touch. So this is what it came out with. And then I brought it into clean, and here's the result of that. So the steps that I've used for Skyline Racing can apply to anything really. I used this same process for this truck and this rendering, a quick rendering in Blender. I brought it in here, and there's a reference image I used, and I like this image of this car, this truck kind of, driving on the dirt road here. And here's the result, and I think it came out beautiful. Yeah. So I hope you enjoyed this episode and gave you the basics of how to use 3D with AI. I think it's a powerful combination, and I hope you enjoyed it. Please leave your comments and questions down below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.